Welcome to episode 1 of Wellness Club Social, Dubai's newest space for real conversation about clean living and modern wellness. I'm Kristina, the founder of Soul Crave.
And I'm Biljana, founder of Clean Rebel. And we decided to do this podcast because we felt like there was a bit of a gap in good, reliable information on everything around wellness. And we wanted to have a really good platform to talk about biohacking and longevity tech and things like nutrition and sleep to be able to help you figure out what's myth and what's magic and how to thrive in today's world.
On each of our episodes, we will be inviting local wellness experts, scientists, and doctors to dive into the latest trends and help us to enrich our wellness journeys. Today, we wanted to introduce ourselves and share with you our wellness stories and how it all began for us. What's one wellness trend that actually changed your life and one that you think is just a hype?
So I just have to go back a little bit to when I actually started my wellness journey, which was over 20 years ago. And at the time I was living in Los Angeles. And if you've ever been to LA, you'll know that it's a very eco-chic place. And even back then it was even trendy to be, all about organic food, etc. So that's how I got into it. And it was in the beginning more about me wanting to adopt a certain lifestyle for weight, to keep my weight down. And it was all about that. But that naturally led me into, clean cosmetics, household cleaners and stuff. So I started living this non-toxic life. But the real change for me in terms of mental health and emotional well-being and stuff like that came actually during COVID. And back then in 2020, I discovered meditation, which is to me the basis of everything wellness in my book. And I discovered Dr. Joe Dispenza. I discovered meditation through him. And I have to tell you that I used to suffer from insomnia for many years, at least 10 years or so. And I was actually on sleeping pills for a long time. And after the first meditation, I didn't even know yet how to, I didn't understand his methodology. And if you've ever heard Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations, they're really weird if you don't know what he's doing, if you don't understand it. But nevertheless, I did one meditation of 45 minutes. And ever since, I've never taken a sleeping pill again.
Oh my God.
The change was incredible. So that's why I'm a huge believer in meditation for anyone. Everyone should be doing it. One hype, it's not as much of a hype, but I think there's a bit of a lack of understanding in terms of women and how they're different from men when it comes to certain extreme kind of trends, like cold plunges, for example, or extreme workouts, HIIT. They're both great tools. But I feel as women, we need to be very careful not to burn ourselves out. And we need to be careful as to how we time that, with our cycle, for example.
Yeah.
We can't do the same thing every day because our hormonal cycle is 28 days and not 24 hours like a man's. So we can't have the same routine every single day. So that's why I feel it's overhyped sometimes for women,
Yeah. I think with every trend, sometimes we go a bit extreme. So because people do not do their research before they get into something a lot of the times, especially if it's promoted by celebrities and you see it everywhere on Instagram and it's very short sort of explanations of why it's good for you. And sometimes it's not for everyone, like anything in wellness.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Well, what if you had to give up one wellness habit that you have forever, which one would hurt the most for you?
I think it's my workouts. By workouts, I mean Pilates. I do not like intense gym workouts. I don't really do them that often. Again, because I don't think it's too good for me. I feel too stressed afterwards. It doesn't actually help me calm down, which is weird. But I try to listen to my body, and Pilates is perfect because it helps me just turn off and just work out. Because there's so much going on if you actually do it properly because of the mind and body connection. So you literally have to concentrate on every muscle, control your body, do everything slowly. So I just, even if I'm having a stressful day, I literally do not have time to think about anything else if I'm working out. So I think this is the one thing, even when after I gave birth, I think that was the only thing that I missed so much. And it was really hard to get back into it because it's a habit. It's, getting back to your routine. But now when I'm back, I can feel the difference, and it's very crazy how much it affects me on a daily basis. What about you? Do you think self-care becoming too complicated for its own good, and all of us, worrying about, okay, this wellness habit changed my life, so I have to do it every day, and this didn't work for me, like, why didn't it work for me? We're getting a bit too obsessed about all of these new trends or not doing something perfectly.
First of all, I have to agree with you that Pilates is the best. Anyone who knows me knows that I hate working out and I only do Pilates, and it's absolutely amazing. So I'm with you on that. But in terms of self-care, I look at it as, everything, like the whole, physical well-being, mental and spiritual and emotional, like all of it has to work together. And I think it's very individual for every person. So for me, and I'm sure for you, it's the same. It's taken a long time to adjust the self-care routine, and to do like habit stacking and stuff like that. And I still upgrade my routines because I still learn new things every day. And that's one of the reasons why we're here, to learn from experts and to upgrade ourselves even more. So I think it's very individual, but I do think some people do stress out like too much about doing one thing every single day. Consistency is key, but it doesn't have to be the same every single day. Like, life doesn't work like that. So I think this is also the kind of philosophy that I try to adopt with Clean Rebel, that it doesn't have to stick to the basics, just like in wellness. Sleep, nutrition, exercise, the basics are super important. So similarly, Clean Rebel is all about kind of minimalist skincare, something that is simple enough so you can do it consistently, but gives you everything that you need. Like, you don't need 15 steps of skincare routine every day. You don't need 30 plus ingredients in your product. You just don't, and it's actually counterproductive. So that is, what we try to do also at Clean Rebel, and I'm a believer in that. What is for you the smallest daily habit that makes the biggest difference in how you feel?
I love that question. I think gratitude is the best daily habit that everyone should do, especially if your day is going really wrong, and it happens to everyone. But I do like to do it in the morning. As soon as I wake up, well, I'll try to. With a baby, it's not always like that, but I just, try to list the things that I'm grateful for. Even if it takes 2-3 minutes and I'm just naming, very obvious things, like literally having a food on the table or having clean water and stuff like that, it still does help my day to be better. So I think if you can, everyone should do it at least for a minute a day. It does make a crazy change. And also, when I created Soul Crave, it started off as a digital magazine about wellness, because I wanted to help people learn about the trends before they actually buy something or go and do something. And I wanted them to understand the whole concept before they actually apply it to themselves. And then I started realizing that there's so many brands in the UAE, local brands, but they're smaller than the international ones. And they have great products. Maybe they're not sometimes packaged as nicely or marketed as nicely, but they are good products. And when I created the marketplace, and now we have over, I think, 50 partners, I realized that even if I can give you that one alternative that you can replace your ordinary product to a cleaner product, non-toxic product, or just a better product, that would make my day, and that would be amazing. And that's kind of the aim of what we're trying to achieve. If your cleaning products are causing a lot of harm to you and you didn't even know about it, then we give you an alternative of using a local product, which you don't have to ship from anywhere, you don't have to wait long, And actually, it shouldn't be expensive, these sort of things. And there's so many great alternatives that we have in the UAE nowadays. So I do think that's the key, just making small changes every day. And that's literally how you get where you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's, like you say, a really good or many really good substitutes for everything that you're currently using that's toxic. It's just not necessary to put all these toxins in your body anymore. They work better, if not the same, like, as your usual products, for sure.
Exactly. Do you think wellness should feel like discipline or like freedom?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question also, because a lot of people, I've read a lot of comments about that online. For example, if you follow like Brian Johnson or Kayla Barnes, they live a very extreme lifestyle. Their day is very much tailored minute by minute to wellness and longevity. And people feel like that's such a burden, like they must be really unhappy because they have like no freedom. But to them, it's really what is the definition of freedom for you, right? To them, the definition of freedom is waking up every day energized, joyful, feeling like they, want to like tackle the day and, feeling healthy, feeling good, full of energy. And not necessarily like sitting on the couch and watching Netflix and stuffing their faces with chips. I'm sure they haven't done that for years. But if that's your definition of freedom, it's a little bit, I guess, counterproductive to, I would say, a good life. So I feel like discipline is what actually leads to freedom.
Yeah, eventually. I don't think it's easy sometimes. And I do think we should give ourselves breaks sometimes. Because if you concentrate on doing everything perfectly, you go crazy. And I think that's the key to consistency, not to put too much pressure on yourself to do everything perfectly and to do everything straight away. But of course, if you're in this lifestyle for years, it just becomes a norm for you and you don't miss it because that's your choice, that's your lifestyle, that's what you are now. So it's quite, I think it's quite good if you can get there.
Yeah. So why do you think that people often feel guilty when they skip a wellness habit like a workout or a meditation?
Because of the mentality of all or nothing. It's always like that when we always hear people say, oh, okay, I'm going to start working out and I'm going to go to the gym five times a week. First of all, you shouldn't do that because it's not even healthy. You should probably stick to 2 times a week. And then when you do it for a month, even 2 months, you will be consistent. It will just become a normal part of your day. So you will not even think about it. And then increasing your workouts or your wellness rituals from there would be so much easier. But, because people try to do everything perfect from the first day, they often fail. Same as with dieting. Dieting is the same. If you try to cut down on every single food ever in one day, you will relapse and you will fail. So I think doing things step by step is the best, and listening to your body. Sometimes, even if you have a workout schedule, but you feel very tired or just very low on energy, especially as women, I think you should just listen to your body and have your rest and then do the workout tomorrow. Nothing is going to happen. As long as you're consistent, you can make changes because, again, as you said before, life happens, and you have other things. Even if you go on a vacation and you miss a week, just take your rest and then come back to it after. But just keep that mentality that you're gonna keep going no matter what. But you shouldn't be set on, okay, today at 3:03, I'm gonna do this, because it's just not realistic.
Yeah, and I also feel like that's also something that I learned in Atomic Habits, if you know this.
I love that
James
book.
Clear.
Yeah.
He's amazing. It's really about becoming that person rather than forcing yourself to do, like your old self to do something new. Yeah. It's more about saying, for example, okay, you know what, I'm an athlete. So as an athlete, on, Monday morning, am I sleeping in and whatever, eating chips in the morning? No. I'm up, I'm at the gym, or whatever the case may be, like becoming that person that you're trying to be. And eventually your habits will actually catch up to this new person that you are becoming.
Exactly. Do you think too much wellness can be unhealthy for you?
Yes, I totally agree with you. I think balance is really important. And I also feel like, let's say, I mean, self care, again, to me is super important because that's how I can charge myself up and show up as the best person to everyone in my life, like whether that's my husband or my friends or work. You know, I feel I have a responsibility to take care of myself so that I can take care of other people then, you know. But at the same time, self-care can become like you're always like consuming, like it's all about you, you're consuming. And in order to lead a good life, we have to also be productive in society. Like we have to create something, you know? And I'm sure we all want to contribute to the world in some way. So that's why it's to me, it's a balance, like, between too much self-care and making sure you're charged so that you can, your cup is full,
Yeah.
so that you can give to other people. But let's also not, mistake like the curated aesthetics of wellness with actual genuine, wellness as something that relates to how you feel and taking care of yourself, Because I think, I mean, I don't know if you agree, but why do you think feeling healthy doesn't always look the same as looking healthy?
Well, first of all, I don't think you can fake an internal glow. You know what I mean? When someone is really happy or actually mentally just, in balance with themselves, with their life, with what they're doing, you can see it. You can see it in their eyes. You can see it with the way they walk, the way they talk, how confident they are. And I think it's very easy you cannot cheat feeling healthy. It doesn't work. People will always know. But I think you can cheat looking healthy, especially, with these trends about clean girl aesthetic and all of that stuff. Just because you combed your hair and have no makeup and have this natural look doesn't mean that you're actually living a clean lifestyle, and just because, for example, you go to Pilates doesn't mean that you're living that non-toxic life either, And I feel like that's why there is a misconception because of Instagram, of course, our favorite Instagram, that just shows people's lives from one perspective, and they all look like they're always in sports gear, and then, I don't know, going on these resorts with amazing bodies, and then you find out they did like 3 surgeries and go out every weekend, and they don't actually follow any of the stuff that they're talking about. So I think that's the difference, And I do think everyone should concentrate on feeling healthy, because then you're just automatically going to look healthy. Mm-hmm. And that's what we all want in the end of the day.
Yeah.
And about, talking about clean girl trend and the branding, do you think clean living in general has become more about lifestyle branding than real choices?
Yeah, I mean, I think it started out as like something that was values driven, like resting and, I don't know, cooking at home and mental clarity and stuff. And then I think marketing picked this up as a trend and as a marketing tool, to sell us more products that we need or don't need sometimes. So I think that's where the issue with that started. But I think there's a very good way to figure out if a trend is actually something that will be good for you, that you want to do genuinely to make yourself feel better, or whether it's just something that you saw on Instagram and you thought, looked cute or something, is to ask yourself, is this marketing or meaning driven for me? Is this something I saw and I want to copy, or do I really believe that this is something that fits into my life and to my values? And does it support your health, or does it just look good? Again, same thing. Is it just Instagrammable, or is it actually going to help you achieve your health goals? Would I do it if no one saw it? That's, I think, a good one that many of us, have to think about. Like, am I doing this just for the looks of it, or is this really something that's, important for me? Because I think that real wellness is often boring. Like I said, like, cooking at home, or like, sleeping, which is not necessarily an Instagrammable moment or interesting.
I think they do a good job of making it Instagrammable
Yeah,
nowadays.
that's true.
Yeah,
Some of them are really good, these influencers, I gotta say. But do you think that, speaking of influencers, do you think that beauty standards are shifting for the better or just changing shape?
I think diversity of beauty and what we're exposed to nowadays, it's good. I think it's changing for the better. And I do think it's, there's more variety of things. It's more creative now. And I do think it's changing for the better in that sense. But I do not think generally that people should get really stuck up on beauty standards. It doesn't matter when it is. In the 90s, it was like very skinny model looking girls, almost looking literally unhealthy, but that was considered to be beautiful. And I think you have to take everything with a pinch of salt, because changing your eyebrow shape just to fit into a certain trend, that's okay, they'll grow back and maybe it's nice to experiment sometimes. But doing something like an irreversible surgery or some sort of extreme measure just to fit into a current standard of beauty or a current standard of beauty in your head, it's just, I don't think that should be the case and people shouldn't be pressured by social media and all of that to fit into a certain standard. And I think everyone should really stop and think before they do something drastic. But I do believe there are good things and bad things about current trends in beauty and fashion as well. Do you think comparison is the root of body shaming?
Yes. I think that most women that I know struggle with body image issues. And I'm talking about women who, in my opinion, have like a perfect body to, everyone else in between. I only probably know 1 or 2 women in my life that have like no issues with their bodies. And it's really incredible. Like, I don't think men have this issue, So I think that it's something that's socialized in the sense that we've been taught by society, by media, by the images that we see, that as women, our beauty is our currency, because oftentimes our self-worth is tied to our looks, and we're always like fed whatever trend of that decade is trending, that we need to look a certain way. But I think that for me, personally, I started like dieting, I think I was 6 years old.
Oh my God.
I know. So that's kind of crazy because my mom was a ballerina back in the day, and she probably had her own, struggles with her weight. Like, she's told me so many times, like how she used to diet and like as a teenager in ballet school, and they used to like wrap themselves up in like sheets with vinegar or something. I don't know what that was supposed to do, but some kind of trend. And like, so it would like suck out the water, or so, I don't even know, or like drink Epsom salt. I mean, just crazy stuff, right? So I think she unwillingly projected some of that onto me. And so when I was little, I was 6 years old, and I went to my first ballet lesson. The teacher basically told my mom that I need to lose some weight.
At 6 years old.
I wasn't even that big. It was, I mean, I thought it was cute, but, so my mom told me, she was like, listen, if you want to do ballet, you have to lose the weight, And so from that day on, I was not allowed to like eat sweets at home. And we had a cabinet full of sweets. Like, my mom used to eat 1 chocolate per day, but she was dancing like, 6 hours per day. So it was fine. But I basically started dieting. And since then, I've had a struggle with that. But because of that, I actually adopted a clean lifestyle. Like, that was the trigger, like I mentioned earlier, was, wanting like to lose weight and shift my lifestyle. So I wouldn't struggle with it anymore. And in some ways, I feel like that was beneficial because it put me ahead of many people in terms of my health and being very conscious of my food and things like that. So, I'm happy to say I've always been an early adopter of like health trends, and I've been educating my family and friends since 20 years on like, organic food. And they used to make so much fun of me. Like, my mom used to laugh at me because I would eat organic, and now they're all on the same like bandwagon, And I'm so happy because like, especially after COVID, I feel like they all kind of got it, and everyone's now paying attention to like living a more non-toxic life. So that's the good part. But yeah, it was a journey for me personally, you know. I'm thinking about myself here, but I want to ask you, you know, what's one simple thing that you do when you feel uncomfortable in your own body? And I know we've all been there.
I dress up. You know, if you feel uncomfortable, even if, well, for example, for me, after giving birth, even if maybe I didn't gain that much weight during the pregnancy, but then you still don't feel good in your own body for a while. And I think dressing up helped me a lot because first of all, you can hide it. Second of all, dressing up helps you to feel better, feel more confident. And also it works for me if I'm feeling down, if I don't want to go work out or I'm feeling lazy. Dressing up in a nice sports outfit does motivate me to go and work out. I don't know how it works, but it definitely does work. So I think that's my trick to kind of staying motivated. And if you're not feeling your best, I think this is a good way to make yourself feel better. And also, I never weigh myself. I never do it because you just start obsessing over numbers. And I do believe that you should just see how you feel. And if you do feel great in, you know, your clothes or whatever, just keep going and keep doing what you're doing. Because when I started working out, I was actually gaining weight, but I looked much better than I ever looked before. So you shouldn't obsess over numbers, at least not in every single case. So I think weighing yourself less is the key to being more sane sometimes.
Yep, agreed.
But why do you think it's so hard for people sometimes to accept their body in the mirror?
Yeah, exactly for those reasons, because I think it's really deeply rooted into us, like, you know, since childhood, all our lives being, you know, given certain images that we have to live up to. And so because it's so deep, it's really hard to overcome that. You know, it takes a lot of work on yourself to honestly, genuinely say like, okay, you know, I love my body. I love myself even, you know. I mean, let's start there. People will not accept or love themselves. And I mean, I have to include myself in that, you know, it's hard work like every day, you know. So I think like one thing that I like doing, and this is like super corny, so please don't laugh, but it really works, is like, because I'm also all about habit stacking and doing multiple things at the same time because we're all busy. But like in the morning when I brush my teeth, for example, I like to look in the mirror and tell myself in my head, I love you. And I just look at myself and I keep saying it like, I love you, I love you, I love you, because that it really makes a difference. It's almost like you're talking to your soul, you know, like what's really inside of you. And try it. I know it sounds really weird. I know I'm going to get made fun of for this, but it really works. And I just wanted to pass it on to people because I feel like it's important. And the second thing is like gratitude for your own body. And I feel like our bodies do so much for us. They're literally, as corny as it sounds, again, a miracle. The fact that we're breathing and we're turning food and oxygen and water into energy and we're alive, and despite everything we do against our bodies, is a miracle. So, you know, to be anything but grateful for your body and your feet that carry you and your hands that, you know, allow you to grab something is, you know, that's, I think, something we need to practice like every day. And it's very similar with skin, by the way. Like people have a very hard time accepting their skin, and social media isn't helping because now we have all these filters where, you know, people have no more pores, you know, and I'm sorry, but humans have pores and they have skin texture. Yeah. And it's not even just social media filters, it's everywhere. It's on TV, you know, like when I see some reality shows, let's say, and I see like this like doll like skin, not just on the face, but on the arms. And I'm like, this is a filter, like nobody looks like that. I've never seen anyone on the street ever look like that, right? So it's you know, it's really an issue, and I hope that people educate themselves. And there's now also influencers that talk about the fact that everything is very fake, right? So yeah, how much do you think that social media filters distort our idea of like real beauty?
Oh, massively. And I mean, everyone is guilty of it, to like removing a pimple from your face but now it became, even your iPhone filters your skin when you take a picture. So you don't even do it. Something like your phone is doing it for you. So, and sometimes when you see like the reality of things, you're like, oh my God, like what's going on? But you're just not used to seeing yourself anymore, like your real self. And I do think in terms for adults, it's a choice. But I feel like when a teenager, for example, sees it on social media, they just think that's the way the world is, that, you're just supposed to have glass skin and no pores. And for them, I think it hits them hard because they still are very fragile in that sense. I don't think they can tell sometimes the reality from Instagram and what actually is possible and what's just a hype and people, just fake it, and they don't understand the difference. And I think that's dangerous because that's what you were talking about, it could cause trauma for someone who is not completely developed. So I do think even, everyone is guilty of it again, editing your photos and stuff. And now FaceApp does it for you in 2 seconds. So it became even easier and everyone looks the same. And I do think, but I do believe we're kind of slowly coming back to the real beauty. Sometimes I see influencers now, they're not putting crazy filters on their faces anymore. The editing is more natural. So I do think there might be hope and that we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
But do you think generally people stress too much about perfect skin and it's not maybe that important?
Yes, of course. I do think that they stress about this, like I said, this glass skin look or, looking not real because no skin looks like that. And don't forget, even if, skin looks like glass skin on the outside for that moment because they used some product, it does not mean that that's healthy skin. This kind of reminds me, if you remember, when Brazilian blowout used to be a thing.
Yeah.
For the younger generations, Brazilian blowout used to be this hair treatment that people got, which made your hair like amazing, like shiny, no frizz. It was like so straight, You would come out of the shower looking like you had like, hairdo, whatever. So that, looked amazing, like, glass skin, for hair. But after like 6 months, you would realize you have to cut off your hair because what they were doing was covering your hair in plastic. It was like basically formaldehyde, which was like put on top of your hair. And then it completely destroyed your hair. Like just ask Jennifer Aniston when she had to like cut her hair short. It was because of Brazilian blowout. So same thing for skin. For skin, the two most important things, and you have to realize that skin is really a reflection of your detoxification system in your body. If it shows up on your skin, it kind of means all of your other detox pathways have failed. Like your liver couldn't process the toxins, your lymphatic system couldn't process the toxins, so it came out through your skin. So if you have things like acne or you have eczema and stuff like that, you have to really, of course, treat it on the outside with the proper products. But it's very important to look at your hormones, like to look into what's going on the inside, because that's key, So again, like the skin reflects the internal health, and you have to make sure that you reduce the toxic exposure and that you help your natural detoxification systems work better and more efficiently so that you can have that, naturally beautiful skin for life in the long term, Why do you think acne still embarrasses so many people when almost everyone has actually struggled with acne in their lives?
I think nowadays more people have adult acne. And I do believe that's the problem, because no one prepares you to have pimples or breakouts when you're like 28. It's just, you always hear about teenage acne, and this is quite normal, and a lot of people have it, and you don't feel alone. So you feel like, okay, it's going to pass, and then it does eventually, and you're an adult, and you shouldn't be struggling with that. That's like the the like misconception. But nowadays, a lot of adults have acne, and it is connected to the food we eat, how many, hormones are inside, and all the toxins again, and the quality of our air and water and everything. But I struggled with it myself. I never had teenage acne. I got acne around 25 years old. And I did have a hormonal disbalance. So that was the root cause. I knew it. But it's very not easy to fix. It's just, it's trial and error. No doctor can really tell you what to do. And when they do, especially in Europe with just, traditional medicine, I found that they just want to put like a Band-Aid on it. They just say, okay, take antibiotics for a month. What is it going to be left of my, gut health in a month if I take antibiotics? But they don't really care about that. Then they tell you to take something like Accutane, which is now called Isotrin or something. I don't remember the name, but it's not even the point. You have to go on birth control at the same time because you can't get pregnant while you're on it because it literally kills your baby inside of you. So all these scary things.
Imagine what else it does.
Exactly. And how is that a solution to healthy skin? It literally heals one thing and then damages the other. And it's just, I struggled with it so much because I obviously refused to do any of these drastic things. So, and then I literally went back to very old research about acne. And I think I stuck to 4 ingredients in my routine. And topically though, I didn't take anything internally. I just kept my diet gut healthy. And had a lot of water, slept properly to kind of help to balance my hormones, worked out. And then additionally, I had a very simple routine with these like 4 ingredients. And eventually, okay, it took a year. It did take a long time. But in the end of the day, I have the results I have now, and they stuck with me. Plus the other healthy habits, of course, that I built because of having acne. So there is a good side about it, but it did take a long time. And I think if you want to do things the healthy way, sometimes it does take time, and that's okay because nothing happens overnight. If something happens overnight, you will definitely pay for it later on, most likely. So
is that what kicked off your health journey in terms of like eating for your gut and stuff like that? Is that what started it, or you were always like that? Is it from your childhood?
I think yes, that was the root cause. Because again, people were telling me that there is not actually a direct connection with your food and your skin. Because back then, right, the gut health wasn't trendy like now. So of course they said, oh, there's not actually enough studies for us to say that that's the case. But I knew it's the case. I knew if I eat a lot of chocolate, I will break out. I knew if, I drink sodas every day, it's not going to help my acne. So I did follow a diet. That's how kind of got into it. And then working out, and I always loved sleeping, so that was my favorite thing to do. But I think that was the cause of my wellness journey, like why I started to be more cautious about what I do and what I eat and what I buy as well. So I think, that was a very important point in my life.
Blessing in disguise.
Yes,
as always.
In a way, yes. What's one skincare myth you wish people would stop believing in?
Well, probably that clean skincare is less effective because a lot of people still believe that. And I try to always explain that, again, the less toxins you put into your body and on your skin, the better your skin is going to be, especially in the long term. So, clean, toxin-free beauty is how you get skin longevity, not temporary kind of, toxin solutions or some kind of quick fix for something that's going to do damage that is much bigger than your current issue, So natural ingredients can actually allow your skin, and not overwhelming your skin with too many ingredients, can allow your skin to heal and regenerate itself. So if you're, putting on so many different things that sometimes like counteract each other, or so many, products at once in your, 15-step routine, it is counterproductive. Your skin, like your body, is incredibly intelligent. It is made literally to heal itself and to regenerate itself. All you have to do is give it the right clean ingredients, the right effective ingredients that support it in healing and regenerating itself, essentially, Yeah. So it's good. It's the best thing to do for, I think, your general health, but also your skin, is to educate yourself on the ingredients and to always check the ingredients in the back. So no matter what it says, what the marketing claim is, check the ingredients and learn about what they do and if they work for you. And the Environmental Working Group has a really good database called Skin Deep. I don't know if you know it, but you can check every single ingredient there and it will give you a really good safety rating and it will tell you exactly like what it does and how safe it is. So you can check everything. What is one belief about beauty or health that you had to unlearn in your life?
That not every single wellness trend or thing that made someone healthy would work for you. Well, I learned it through, again, experimenting with treatments for acne. And there's no perfect combination of perfect way of doing things. And you can try doing a certain thing, but you shouldn't expect it to work exactly the same way as it worked for somebody else. Especially nowadays when people are creating hype around something and sometimes they're paid to do so. And it is very exhausting and disappointing when this one ingredient doesn't magically do the job as they promote it to do. But you do have to keep going and understand that you will find your combination of whatever works for you. You just have to be mindful. And as you said before, not to use everything at once. Give products and ingredients time to work and be patient with it. And just stick to it for a couple of months, see the result, and then maybe make corrections depending on, again, your reaction. And the same with everything, with workouts, with meditation as well. I do believe a lot of the times people tell me, oh my God, I don't know how you meditate. This doesn't work for me. Because they think meditation is just sitting in a dark room on your pillow and just with your eyes closed in complete silence. And, it's wrong. It's not like that. You can pick 1,000 different ways to meditate. It doesn't matter. And I think you should just see what works for you and do your research again and educate yourself on all the options that are available to us. And also the most important thing after my struggle with acne, that people don't talk about it much. They do talk about it now, but before, even 2 years ago, it wasn't a thing, that your skin barrier is not important. It's literally the most important thing when you're fighting acne. You can put as many acne fighting ingredients as you want on your skin. You will not get better until your skin barrier is strong, because you kill the bacteria, it will come back again because your skin cannot protect itself. And it's because people with acne don't like putting moisturizer. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I felt it myself. I'm guilty of it myself. You have to find something you like. It's not easy, but you must. Otherwise, all your efforts are for nothing. So I do think that's a very important point.
Absolutely.
What's one underrated thing people could do for their skin that doesn't cost a cent?
Deep, uninterrupted sleep consistently. Like sleep, and my husband knows this more than anyone, is my number one priority in life. Nothing can come between my sleep and myself, okay? And unless it's an emergency. But for your skin, you have to understand, like when you're consistently under sleeping, you are actually losing collagen because your cortisol levels go up, you lose collagen, which means you're going to get more wrinkles. Very simple. So no matter what serum or product you're using, if you're sleeping 5 hours every night, it's just not going to, nothing can fix that. So that's
also, I'm pretty sure, I read so many studies on it now, but no one also mentioned it before to us. All the sleeping studies were conducted with men. They weren't conducted with women. So
course.
it is not true that we need from, 6 to 8 hours. Women strictly need more than 8 hours of sleep every night because our bodies function completely different from men. And again, hormonal imbalances and all these complicated things, depending on your cycle, depending on, if you had a baby or anything like that, it just has to be different. So this is also an important thing to keep in mind, that you do need a lot more sleep than they even tell you.
Yeah.
The average.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because this lack of research on women is really, like, it's mind-boggling. Since always, we just don't get studied because apparently we're too complicated with our hormonal cycles of 28 days, when it's much easier, to study the simpleton with a 24-hour hormone cycle. So that's why, nobody puts in the effort, and like research 90% of the time doesn't apply to us at all.
Yeah.
Nobody, took the time or care to actually study women's bodies. Why do you think that clear skin is often linked or associated with success?
I wouldn't completely agree with that. I just think when we think about successful people, we just assume they're perfect, and they cannot make a mistake because they're successful and they achieved something, and we just assume that they have to have perfect skin. They have to be perfectly dressed, and it does happen because successful people normally have discipline. They have their habits right. They're confident about what they're doing because they have achieved something in life. And it is hard to achieve good skin, and most of the time they do, because they do put effort in it. They do eat well. They understand the importance of looking good all the time, presenting yourself well, because that's what people like. You when you're groomed, when you smell nice, when you look good, it does put you in a good mood, and people around you, they see you differently. And it's the same, going back to what I said, when I'm feeling down or I'm not feeling good in my body, I dress up, I make myself feel better because I do look better in the mirror. But I do think now, again, with the trend of being more real, even a lot of celebrities, are coming out and talking about their skin struggles or their weight struggles. And I think that's a good thing for us to see that successful people, like celebrities, like actresses, of course, their appearance is everything for them. And I do believe that seeing that they struggle with things that we struggle with is very healthy, because, again, we only see the perfect side of their life in the movies. And again, they use filters, they use makeup artists, they probably have a very strict, intense diets and workouts 6 months before the movie. So we don't get the realistic picture of their everyday lives. And that's very important to keep in mind. And now they're coming out and they're talking about their struggles. And I do think it's very important, again, for young girls especially, to understand that not everything is perfect. And it's not the end of the world if you get an occasional breakout or you do gain weight. And, everything is fixable. Everyone is a human, and it happens. But as long as you are mindful about your body, as long as you're healthy, I think, and as long as you're mentally happy and focused on, being in sync with yourself, I think that's the most important thing.
Well, I love this ending. And this brings us to the end of Wellness Club Social, episode 1. It's been such a pleasure to have you with us today. And next time, we're going to have our first expert guest on, Dr. Maria Alonso of Maison Santé. She's the medical director and co-founder of basically the best preventive clinic in all of Dubai. And we're going to talk about a really hot topic on everyone's mind these days, which is gut health.
Oh, I love that topic. Very excited about having her on the podcast. And don't forget, please, to subscribe and like the video. And please send us a message about any topic you want us to cover in the future, or an expert you would like us to invite in the future episodes. See you very soon. Thank you for joining.